Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ambrose Blowfield from the salesmasterycompany.com. And today we're talking about some practical skills around improving your sales team structure. Typically, people refer to this along the lines of who's on my bus, who's in the right seats of the bus, how many seats do I need on my bus for me to get to the destination? Whatever words and language you've got, if you're a business owner, if you're a sales manager, or maybe the most senior member of your sales team, this is an important subject to get right. Too often when we're called in to coach or train sales team members, as individuals, it's because they got the wrong team structure in place, normally 12 to 24 months ahead of time. In fact, if you've got the wrong sales team structure right now, you might not see the cause or the effect of that issue, the cause being the wrong structure, for 3 months minimum, but quite often 12 months. So this is one of those pains that Stephen Covey talked about you need to fix while it remains in a quadrant 2. Rather than let it moving from quadrant 2, which is things that are important before they become urgent. If you don't fix it there, it will cause a whole bunch of hassle in what we refer to these days in the whirlwind of quadrant 1. There'll be lots of instant fixes that need to happen that are very, very important. Essentially, if you don't plan for the right sales team structure today, you will reap the rewards or the pain of that later on. Now, hopefully you've added value to yourself already by downloading our workbook or accessing a workbook by commenting on one of our social media channels. If not, please send us an email to admin@salesmasterycompany.com and request the Smarter Sales Team Structure document, which goes alongside this free training. So if we look into it, page 1 and 2 is just the covering notes and a bit of a brief intro for myself. The purpose of today's short free training is about structuring our sales team in a way that maximizes their motivation, their accountability, and ultimately their effectiveness. Because if you've got the wrong structure, your team members will tend to underperform. The moment they underperform, you're going to have to waste a whole lot of time in accountability, in motivation, in team alignment to get them to do what you want them to do to achieve the outcome you want them to achieve. This is about not only having the right number of seats and having you as the driver, being the senior salesperson, the sales manager, or the business owner. It's about making sure you get the team to destination and they're not disruptive at the back of the school bus type scenario. So first and foremost, there's a couple of things we've got to get right. There are 3 areas when we think about A, have we got the right number of seats on the bus? Most people's accountants will tell you how many people we can afford to employ. Most sales team members will tell you how many calls they can do, how many visits they can do, how much prospecting they can do to achieve the sales targets. That part most people have got right. But we've got to understand that people's knowledge and experience should dictate or influence what seats on the bus they sit in. Because often our clients are small to medium family businesses around the world, and they might have a salesperson doing 2 or 3 jobs, part-time in 3 jobs, for example. Next up, their personality, which is correctly referred to as behavioral profile, should also influence the seats they occupy or the seat they occupy, as well as their skills or competences. Competences is just nicer language for the word of skills. So first things first. Some team members are going to develop knowledge and skills before they join you. Some team members you recruit are going to have experience that allows you to confidently put them unsupervised or barely supervised into certain seats and certain functions. Obviously, somebody with 10 years of cold calling, networking, and business development experience will easily fit into a prospecting role. They won't need much skill development. They won't need much motivation. They've got the resilience. They've got the mindset. They've got the goal setting. That'll be a lot easier for them. Likewise, somebody with 20 years of account management, farming, and experience would slot into that role effortlessly. So the knowledge they've got, the experience they've got means they can occupy that seat without burdening you as the manager or as the leader or as the owner. At the same time, some knowledge is developed into your systems, your culture, your values, your sector, your industry, your way. Some of that will come with time. And yes, you could coach people to accelerate that knowledge gain. But essentially, people join you with certain levels of experience and knowledge, and I want to encourage you to use that. Likewise, some of that comes over time. So it's not something you can affect instantly. Something you can do is, of course, pay to profile people or send them online to do a free profiling tool to understand someone's behavioral profile, otherwise known as a behavioral style and commonly referred to as personality profile. You can test that. Now, a slight word of warning I want to give you on that one is that 30% of the time, somebody's conscious behavior is different to their unconscious behavior. So when we pay for people out of Finland to do an extended disc profile, it shows up 2 different profiles. And 30% of the time, these profiles are different. Somebody's natural or unconscious profile is the real them, and somebody's conscious profile, something we refer to as a perceived need to adjust, that is how they think they should be in a work environment, 30% of the time, that is different. And this is what's scary. Pretty much every free profiling tool online only profiles somebody's conscious profile, their perceived need to adjust, how they think they should be at work. And that's a problem, because if it's wrong 30% of the time, and you've got someone who shows up and says, oh, a friend of a friend gave me a link on Facebook, I went online, answered 12 questions, boom, here's my profile. What they're showing you is their conscious profile, and 30% of the time that's different to their unconscious profile. So please, if you've not done this recently, if it's not something you've ever done before, try to learn a bit more about behavioral profiling or personality profiling. And please, word of warning, make sure you understand there's a difference between somebody's perceived need to adjust or conscious profile and their actual natural profile. Why is that critically important? Well, if you've got somebody in the right seat of the bus based on their profile, they won't need much supervision because they'll be self-motivated. They won't need to be held accountable as firmly or even micromanaged as firmly, because they're operating within their natural scope, their natural realm, their natural comfort level. What happens to a human when they're really motivated to do their job, they're working within themselves, working within their own natural profile, is they don't need to be motivated or held accountable because they do it to themselves, i.e. their intrinsic or internal motivation will often support the way they're working. The moment somebody doesn't have intrinsic motivation, meaning they're put into a job that they're not comfortable doing, they'll start to self-sabotage, or they'll start to play up, or they'll start to fight, and they'll start to prod those around them. And then what you find yourself doing is you're having to micromanage them, which further causes them to act out or play out like a child at home. And likewise, you're going to have to do a lot more work around motivating them because it's not natural for them to do the job. Now, the next question comes in. Well, what if I've got somebody who's got a more extroverted, dominant, or influence profile, and I put them into a job that's more technical? Does it mean they can't do that? And the answer is no. It does got nothing to do with their ability to acquire skills, knowledge, and experience. Somebody with a warm personality profile can learn to be detailed. It's just they don't enjoy it. And because they don't enjoy it, they have to expend more energy doing it. And because of that, they might play up a little bit more. So it doesn't stop them learning a skill. All of us can learn any skills. And I do believe you can teach an old dog new tricks. However, it takes more effort at a management and leadership level. It takes more effort for self-motivation. Therefore, they need more external motivation. The beauty for you is to recruit somebody and put them in a job that they're suited to. So then you can pretty much give them authority and self-autonomy in order to make decisions day to day. The more someone's put into a role that's not natural, the more they're going to play up, the more leadership's required, the more time that needs to be invested into that person. At the same time, not just industry knowledge and technical knowledge and business knowledge and experience, and not just the behavioral profile, but the third area is what is somebody's competencies and skills, and what do they need to have? So when we work with people and we profile people's competencies, there's 2 things we do. Number 1, we work with a business owner or sales manager to understand what jobs or functions have you got in sales, and what skill level or competency level or confidence level do you need to have. If you're a business that can exist on 99% repeat business, well, then you need to absolutely nail account management. But you don't need to become great at qualifying new customers. You don't need to become great around going after prospects, because you don't have that in your business model. The bit that people get wrong is they say, well, I want somebody to be amazing at prospecting. I want someone to be amazing at presenting or training. I want somebody who can light up a room when they walk in. I want somebody who can go and dazzle people at training sessions or even networking functions or trade shows. It's like, well, how much is that part of your sales strategy? And if the answer is nothing, we don't need that, well, then why do you want skills? So you need to be able to assess, firstly, internally, what skill level do we need across the many, many different areas of sales, and how good do we need to be at each of those areas for us as a collective team, as in for us as a bus, to be really effective at achieving our sales strategy and our sales goals. So one of the things that you've got to do is to self-assess and go, for us to achieve our goals in the next 12 months, what level of skill or competence do we as a team or do individuals in our team need to have to confidently hit our targets or smash our targets? As a general rule of thumb, even though your operations team may complain on occasion, no one's really going to tell you off for overachievement. And the teams I work with, the sales teams around the world, I want them to have achievement at the base level and overachievement as what we're actually aiming at, so long as we don't break the operations team or break the finance systems you've got in place. So knowing the level you need to be at is one thing. That typically comes from you. But knowing this confidence levels or the competence levels of each team member is often harder to do in an environment that's fast-paced and an environment where the sales manager or business owner does not have time to assess their team members. And then what you might find yourself in a tricky situation of is we've got these aspirations and goals. We know the standards we need to get to, but we don't even know the standard our team's at. Quite often, when I was spending time, a lot of time going around the world coaching people, I might be spending time observing someone on the phone, coaching them on the phone to actually assess the levels this person's at to determine what training and coaching they need moving forward. A great sales manager will spend time on the road with territory managers, maybe half a day a fortnight, 1 day a month, for example, not just stepping in and trying to swoop in and save the day, but actually observing their staff members in the field. But then I say to them, well, look, are you spending time looking at how they set up the calendar, how they set up their diary for their time effectiveness? Because you've told me they're bad at time management, but are you observing them doing that? All of that takes significant amounts of times. And that's a bit of a challenge because you can actually assess it just doing a paid tool that we use, the sales competence assessment. And in about half an hour, 40 minutes, you can get an assessment of someone's time management. Most sales managers and business owners know they need to spend more time coaching people, more time investing in observation of people, but they don't have the time. Because they don't have the time to observe that, they don't know where the skill or competence gap is between the level we want our team to perform at and the level someone's in right now. And if you're not even assessing that, then you don't have the time to put in training and development and coaching and accountability to develop someone because you don't know how big the gap is. So please take some time today to stop at the end of this video and assess your team across those 3 areas. Number 1 is, for the team I've got, are there any knowledge or experience gaps? And am I happy to wait for that to come over time? Or do I need to give them technical training, industry training, competitive training to understand the skill and knowledge gap? Number 2, from a personality perspective, are people sitting on the right seats for themselves? And are we leveraging their natural style? Because if not, I have to do more coaching, I have to do more motivating, and I have to do more accountability work as a leader to make people do their job more naturally. And then number 3, do we know the competence and skills level that people have got? That's something we often have to educate people on. Doesn't take very long if you know how. And also, have you got a clear assessment of people's skills and confidence and, more importantly, competence on doing the job themselves, all within the skills themselves? Now, our sales competence assessment tool maps people against 18 different skills. Those are not the only skills you have to master in sales, but they're 18 of the most relevant skills to most sectors who sell business to business. So please give time now to think about what are your goals for the year ahead and how well do I know where my team's likelihood is of achieving those outcomes. Now, by attending today's training and downloading the workbook, as I said, if you've got any issues, flick us an email to admin@salesmasterycompany.com and request today's topic around the smarter sales team structure. Then we'll send it out to you. That will give you an automatic link to access a very, very discounted rate on assessing people's personalities, otherwise known as extended disc behavioral profiles, and likewise a phenomenal world-class tool on assessing people's competencies and confidence on doing the sales function itself. The most important thing for me is that you take action from today. That workbook will also allow you to book in for a free one-on-one session with a member of our team just to do a scale-up call to assess where's your team now, what are you trying to get to, what are some of your roadblocks, and we'll absolutely free of charge give you some advice to point you in the right direction. So whether you send us an email, you're booking for a scale-up call, or you simply book in for a discounted personality or behavioral profile or sales competence assessment, taking action is what differentiates good performers with great performers. Great performers see a gap, take action. Good performers see a gap and talk about it for 6 months, and then it becomes a woulda, coulda, shoulda done something a lot earlier. Now, I've been Ambrose Blowfield. We are the Sales Mastery Company. Hopefully, this has taken some steps to improve your understanding about a smarter sales team structure. As always, take action. Hello there, Ambrose here again to say thank you for watching this video. As always, I want to implore you to take action and to share the lessons you've learned. Meanwhile, something you could do to help us in our mission to help countless and thousands of small to medium family businesses the world over to be more prosperous, be more confident, and have a greater impact in the causes they support. And that is, of course, comment, like, and subscribe to this YouTube channel and to all of our other videos. And as always, be generous and share this with others. Take action today.